All right. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Of course, my name is Nolan Duda, Client Experience Manager for Ideal Traits. And today we have our third of four Allstate agent webinars. And we're very lucky to have Ben Bucher with us here today. Ben, over the last several years, or opened his Allstate agency 7 years ago, has been a top-ranked best in company Allstate agency, a mega agency. They're located in Fort Wayne, Indiana, has been utilizing Ideal Traits since opening the doors in 2017. Currently has 18 staff members at the one location that they have there in Fort Wayne. So Ben, I appreciate you for joining us this afternoon, for us both being in Eastern Standard Time, and maybe some people in Pacific Standard. But I appreciate you for joining us, taking time out of your busy schedule to share what's been successful for you over the last 7 years in terms of bringing on staff.
Absolutely. And it's Bucher. Easier to tell people around Halloween. Hey, boo.
Bucher. Bucher.
Boo.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's on me. That's one of the questions I didn't ask Ben in the 15 minutes of prep yesterday and the 15 minutes here this morning.
My wife didn't even say it right. I've been married for 8 years.
Perfect. Well, cool. Well, as we start every one of these agent webinars, we would love to, hear a little bit more about how you get started with your Allstate agency, 7 years ago there in 2017, and how you've gotten to a point of being a mega agency, best in company, and having 18 staff to where you are now. So if you want to go into a little bit about that, and then we'll get into the hiring, I think that would be great.
Sure. When I was a little kid, I said I want to grow up and be an insurance agent. Just kidding. I wanted to be an actor. So I moved to New York for 10 years, did acting and singing and dancing. Then I realized I wanted something different. So I got into the McDonald's world, worked for McDonald's for 5 years in my 30s, met my wife. I told her I was in the restaurant business. I didn't tell her McDonald's, but I was at McDonald's. And then I got into Allstate because my cousin said, hey, I heard you're looking for an opportunity. Come work with us. And I was like, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do insurance. But I talked to them for a little bit, and it just made sense. I didn't know anything about insurance, but I knew how to ask questions and be resourceful and ask people for help. So in 60 seconds or less, we started scratch in 2018. We bought a book in 2022. So scratch to 2022, we grew to 1.5 million. Bought a 3.8 in 2022, so that puts it at 5.3. In the last 3 years, we've grown up to 10 million, and we have another seeded book outside of that. But yeah, looking to continue to grow, looking to purchase another agency in the next year. And what makes us successful is our team and the people we hire. We owe a lot to finding the right people using Ideal Traits.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And yeah, of course, the people within an organization, no matter really what that organization is going to be the greatest resource. So, starting scratch in 2017, 2018, as you mentioned, I'm sure that was a difficult challenge, especially it sounds like not having experience in the insurance world before. So going through that process of building the organic book and then purchasing books, how did you go through how did you know when to add on staff, or how did you go through it to the point where you knew that, hey, looking for good sales and service talent is going to be something that we always need to be doing? How did you get to that mindset?
Well, Allstate said you need 3 people to open your doors, 3 people with insurance licenses. And I didn't know anything about Ideal Traits yet. I didn't know anything about insurance yet. So I literally was looking for anybody who would say yes to the job. We all would get our licenses together, or I got mine first, I guess. And then we did everything together and learning everything new. But I'm still friends with those people, but they're not the same 3 people I started with 8 years ago aren't here. But I was like, okay, I need 3 people to start. And then after that, it was like, how many do I need to reach a goal? You set the goal first, and then you say, how many items or sales do we need to reach the goal? And you just backtrack, like, how many salespeople to reach that goal. And every time we'd set a new goal, for a 1-year goal or a quarter goal, we're like, okay, we need this much production. We'd expect this much production per staff. That means we need 7 staff. We have 4, or we have 5. We need 2. Now we're going to plan on hiring 2, and one's going to not work out, just because it's how things are. It's not because it's not a good fit sometimes, or sometimes I took another job, and that's okay. But always hire 1 more or 2 more, because every year we've been in business, somebody we thought would stay doesn't stay. It's just not a good fit. So that's kind of like backtrack, set the goal, and then build your way up there.
Yeah, makes total sense. And we had Brian Scott on a Success Spotlight months ago who had recommended hiring in multiples because there's a good chance that maybe 1 or 2 of them isn't going to work out. So seems as if that's a part of it too, right? Making sure that you always have a pipeline of candidates. So when it came to, obviously taking a look at the sales numbers and the goals, and obviously putting your staffing requirements around that, kind of knowing where you wanted to be, when you're putting together that job ad nowadays, is there anything in particular that you're doing? Of course, there's resources within Ideal Traits in terms of the ads you had posted, before, the templates that are available there, and the artificial intelligence that's within the system. But is there anything else that you're using? I'm sure you're personalizing a little bit, but what's your secret to getting in front of as many applicants as you need in order to suffice for your hiring demand?
No real secret, but part of it is the
Sure.
job post mentioning the positive culture, because money is not the most important thing for a lot of people. So you're mentioning it's a good positive culture, and then you have I have a wonderful staff person who helps reach out to these people if they're interested, Cass,
Yeah.
and she gets a hold of them, she talks to them. That's the first thing we do. Make sure they can carry a conversation, see if they can follow up, see if they can email back before the assessment.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the culture, because so many people are they're struggling with, they probably make a lot of money, they're selling a lot of stuff, they're doing great with service, but they're just not getting any appreciation. So I'm not sure if you know the five appreciations, the five languages of appreciation in the workplace. It's like it's a spin-off of the five love languages. Like, not everybody receives love through gifts. They receive, or through a paycheck, but they need appreciation, they need shout outs, they need someone to like notice what they're doing and affirm that they're doing a great job. And so that took a long time to discover. And once we did it, we still pay people very well, but there's a whole element to hanging on to the right people, is knowing how they receive love. Is it shout outs? Is it recognition? Is it, when they sell more, whatever it is, deep diving into that helps with retention, and it helps, sharing that in the job post and during the interviews.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think that you even just having a system like that in place speaks to, how much you care about your current employees as well as the new ones that may come on board. I mean, I've heard of the five love languages before. I've never heard someone put it into a workplace setting, but I think it's a really good analogy in terms of how it works. And maybe you're looking for a book that's related to it, but nonetheless, I think that's awesome. Okay. So I think one of the common things that we've seen over the last couple of agent webinars is that no one is just taking the job ad, taking the cookie cutter templates or the AI transcription and just posting it, right? There is some personalization, talking about specific things to your agency in order to get performance, which is great. Are you doing any sort of ad sponsorship through Ideal Traits as well, whether you're doing it to Indeed or ZipRecruiter? And if you'd be comfortable sharing the numbers, great. If not, we can just go with a yes or no and then move on from there.
Yes, we do. We boost it on the job posting in Ideal Traits, which then syncs with Indeed. We boost that. If we're not really hiring, it's maybe $5 or $10 a day. If we're really, we've gone up to $50 a day, $100 a day, depending on how badly we need it. And then we also do external Indeed smart sourcing. So in case not everybody can see the ad on the job post, because there's so many job posts out there, we also have Cass look for people targeted around the country that have insurance experience, send them a note that says, hey, we're interested, because they may not see our job posting if we spend $1,000 a day. So she'll send a resume, reach out through Indeed, see if they're interested. In that email, it's selling the job. Like, hey, I saw you're looking, I saw you have experience with insurance. Check out this video my agency owner made, and I made like a 60-second video that talks about the culture. I mean, it's a prospecting email. Like, hey, we're trying to get people to understand, because all they know is all the Allstates are the same, or they can look at Google reviews or Facebook. But until they see a video or a face or something, just why Ideal Traits has the video thing, you want to see body language. You want to see who you're working for, who you're working with, and if you just compare comp plans, that's one thing. But if you have the best comp plan in the world, but if you hate your job, you're not going to stay there long. So selling all that with the initial email, getting them on the phone, and really expressing why you're different from the other ones, besides the usual, like, we're in a fun place to work, or you'll make a lot of money. Like, you need to sell what makes you different. And so I think we do a good job of that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And we heard from Gina and Kelly last week on Thursday, talked about the same thing. they're posting the Ideal Traits directly through, or posting the ad through Ideal Traits, but then they're also going to Indeed to source candidates through that too as well. So it looks like Ariel actually has a question along those lines. So when you're going to Indeed, is it just a game of numbers with the Indeed outreach? Are you sourcing all over the country? So I guess what's the hit rate when you're going through Indeed and proactively reaching out to them? But then in addition to that, are you just targeting in Indiana within your general area, or are you going countrywide?
That's a great question. The person who does it with us is on this call. Cass, can you speak to that? To be honest, I delegated a ton of this to the managers and the manager's assistant, Cass. Maybe she can send me a little chat while we're doing this. But as far as I know, she's strategizing by searching for people who already have an insurance license. They already have, sometimes we do Allstate already, Allstate insurance already. People that have, like, if I'm looking for salespeople, they're already in licensed sales producer, or they're in some type of producing, going by that.
Yeah.
And then making it, double checking the resume. Do I have 10 jobs in 10 years? Do I have 3 jobs in 10 years? Or 1 job? Like, if someone can stick around for more than a year, that says they're loyal and higher chance of them sticking around with you for a few years or longer.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I think you said it was Cass. So Cass, if you're watching and want to put the answer in the Q&A section, Ben and I will be able to see it, and we'll be able to read that out if that makes it easiest for you. And for anybody else that has questions, please feel free to use that Q&A section.
Cass goes, we're looking for Allstate experience, licensed, and all over the country.
There we go. Allstate experience, licensed all over the country. Perfect. All right, cool. And then, obviously, I'm sure that opens it up to, you bringing on remote employees. We had Danny last week who only has in-office employees because it's better for his operation. Gina and Kelly have a good amount of remote employees. The majority are working from home, and it sounds like you have experience with remote too as well. So, what took you to make that leap? I think a lot of agents, especially with remote becoming more popular as each day goes on, are wondering if it's something that they should consider. So how did you make it a part of your process, and helpful tips, I guess, a little bit, could you recommend for agents that, maybe they should have a part of their process before they start bringing on someone virtually?
Yeah, they should stray as far away from remote as possible. It's terrible. The people are terrible. No, I'm just messing. It's been amazing for us. It's been amazing for us because if you think about it, before I'm searching 5-10 mile radius of my town. That's my talent pool.
Yep.
I've got somebody 20 miles away, 50 miles away, and 3,000 miles away who doesn't even see the job posting, thinks they have to come to the office. Now, suddenly you go from Alaska to Maine to Florida to Texas, and that's your talent pool. Think about how much that opens up. Think about how you can find somebody who already has insurance experience, already has Allstate experience, and not just that, you don't have to be picky anymore. Like before, you'd be like, oh my gosh, you really need somebody. We're gonna maybe let someone slide who doesn't fit our cultures, positive, team player, coachable. Maybe we'll let somebody slide in the past because nobody else is applying. Nobody else is doing this. Whereas if I go countrywide, we have the best of the best. They're going to fit our culture, and we're not desperate. We haven't been desperate for years, and that's allowed us to be very picky about who we bring on. What's that do? It makes sure the people that join the team already there, they're not worried about us bringing in somebody who's going to be toxic. They're not going to be someone who's going to, mess up the way we have, which took a long time to build. So they feel good about that. The new person, we already know they're going to be a fit based off their assessment and based off the interviews. So you have all these other people, and then the turnaround time on training gets reduced. So you should take, you think about on the service side, e-agent itself is a 6 to 12 month, maybe at minimum, learning all this stuff. Somebody's been doing it for 3 or 4 years. They know 95% of what you want to train them, and they're available to help right away. So it's been really helpful for us. I'd recommend, if you haven't looked at it, check it out. It's not as scary as it sounds. We keep people connected through Zoom meetings. We're in a Zoom all day, and it's a great way to connect. We can't have face-to-face like we used to, or water cooler talk, but it's mandatory water cooler talk every day at 10:15. We call it the Hello Huddle. It's positive. It's light and fluffy. We tell jokes. We play music. We did NSYNC this morning, and it's like connecting for people, because otherwise your typical work from remote person, either there's zero Zoom and they're by themselves, and they feel, some people love it. Some people are isolating. You're like, this is really, I'm in my living room or my home office or my basement. It's like kind of isolating. The other ones are in Zoom in separate rooms by themselves. Not much better. Their manager comes in once in a while. How you doing? Everything okay? We've opted for the all in Zoom. It's not for everybody, but we've opted for that because it allows for back and forth. It allows us to see who's available. It allows for small talk, checking in, and for us to listen to other people's talk paths. So if somebody's saying, "Hey, you did a really good job with that customer," I never thought about saying that on, some problem with the payment or something wrong with the bill. Hearing you say that, I'm borrowing that, and we get that every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really good too in terms of like maximizing your available candidate pool. I know for us, it happened when COVID had hit and it's opened up. And we have employees in all different corners of the country. It's definitely widened the candidate pool and has, increased a lot of things. But I was interested to hear that you say that it's shrinking the training time. Because a lot of agents are like, well, how do I train somebody remotely? Or how do I hold them accountable? I know you mentioned Zoom, and I'm sure there's some other things you could talk to, but it's very interesting to hear you have that perspective of shrinking the training time because it's just essentially probably more productive, more focused, more individualized in a remote setting. And there's less distractions within the office, as weird as it sounds, than when at home when you're kind of on that training. So very cool. All right. Awesome. And then in terms of the assessment, I know you had mentioned it a little bit, sourcing candidates directly from Indeed through the, immediate reach out, as well as the applicants that are applying through Indeed from your Ideal Traits posting. Where does the assessment come into play for you all? How much, stock do you put into it? And then what carries on throughout your process following the assessment?
I'm going to share what our process, has been over the last year to 6 months.
Yeah.
And ask if you've changed it to fully give autonomy to CAS, obviously the first line of defense, and the managers to do things. And sometimes I'm working on other stuff, so it's different, CAS. You let me know. But to my knowledge, she's calling the people originally before the assessment, because if you send the assessment right away, you don't have anybody's buy-in. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If you click automatically, you get an assessment right away. You're like, they send everybody assessment. I'll take it if I know I've got some skin in the game. What is skin in the game? When Cass calls them and talks to them and say, "Hey, saw you applied. Tell me about yourself," and tells them about the company. Make sure it's somewhat of a good fit, because we don't want to waste their time without assessment. If we already say, "Hey, you're more like this, and you're not something we're looking for, and it's you better somewhere else," that's okay. But you get the buy-in. You tell them more about our agency, and you feel like they'd be a good fit, and you've already been on the phone with them. Then you tell them about the assessment. You send the assessment. They're more likely to do it when they're interested. They know that you've got skin in the game too. We're only sending to people that we talk to. Cass, am I kind of on track still? She's like, but yeah, get the assessment done and then stay on them, because part of it is like, hey, they're getting job offers everywhere, especially with I think the economy's turning around. People can work where they want to work, when they want to work. So you need to be different. She says, great job. We're doing all of that. All right. Options. And especially in the sales world, salespeople like myself are distracted easily, and they're great at sales, but they're not the best at organization or remembering stuff. So if you're on them when they're interested, and you're the one that calls them every day, every other day, like, "Hey, no rush, but we are hiring soon. Did you have a chance to do the assessment?" "Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me." And they do it, and then we see what they come out as for their type, their description, their problem solving, and based off of that, we can immediately say, "Hey, not a good fit at all," or "on the border," or "heck yes," moving them on to the next round, which is either a video interview where they do like a short, the video thing where we see their body language, one-way interview, or directly onto a Zoom interview with our two managers to go see what they're like. Just get right to it. We don't want to drag it out too long, but if they're good, you want to have an opportunity as face-to-face as you can in the virtual world. So that may happen in the next day or the following day, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that, that communication with the candidate is there. Because I think, a lot of times candidates will sit for 3, 4, 5 days without being reached out to. And as you mentioned, like in today's world of recruiting, there needs to be communication happening within really hopefully within 24 to 48 hours, but ideally within that 24-hour window from a call, email, or a text, right? I think you mentioned that Cass is calling, which is great. Maybe she's texting, maybe she's emailing as well. I'm sure if she's not able to get a hold of them, which is awesome. So great. All right. And then what, I know we've had this question before. Are there any specific personality traits that you look for sales or service? I mean, like, hey, I know you mentioned, no, on the border, or good. Are there any specific sales ideal traits, personality results that are like, oh, that's great, or same thing on the service side?
Cass, can you help me out here? What I'm saying down here is I got something from your coworker, Jeff. It was from a presentation he did a couple years ago, and it was one that showed, I know it's sales leader, sales, see if she's helping me out, but I'll send it to you. But it basically says for inside sales, for outside sales, for admin, the different things. One thing I did remember is when Cass is emailing out, part of that is in that sort of prospecting email, not just to say things about the culture, but have links to your Google reviews, your Facebook page, your Instagram page, as much as you can. And if you don't have a lot of Google reviews, you can fix that. Just like when you buy something on Amazon, you're looking at how many reviews, what are the stars? Well, if an agency has 5 reviews and they've been in business for 10 years, something's off. What's going on? Even if they're 5 stars. Yeah. If you have 50, 100's better than 50, 200's better than 100. Their candidates are looking at those reviews too. They're seeing what the clients are saying. So, and they're looking, are you active on Facebook? Are you active on Instagram? And so they're checking that out. So that's something we link to because we want them to research us. We want them to see us as, a leader in the community, a leader with Allstate, someone who's prominent at all the different conferences, someone who does changes with the industry to get the cutting edge. So it's all a selling point to let them know, hey, we are what we say we are.
Yeah, I think that's great. And we can go back to that question once Cass has a chance to get with you on the specific personalities. But I know throughout the webinars that we've done, of course, over the last week, and throughout the success spotlights that we did before, that there's occasionally something that's pretty unique within every agency's interviewing process. But some people just prefer to do it pretty status quo with their team being involved, right? So do you have anything as a part of your standard interviewing process after they've completed the assessment, once Cass has passed these candidates on to you, that maybe would be considered unique? We've heard about role play situations. We've heard about taking candidates to dinner, a couple of other things too as well. And we just heard people like, no, I just involve my team and want their participation. So anything unique or specific about your interviewing process beyond the assessment and moving forward that you want to mention?
Sure. What's the most important thing to you personally that you want out of a new career besides money? And you can find out. Well, we hear a lot is I want a place that I can stick with, some place that I enjoy working, that I can see long-term growth with. Why are you interested in this position specifically? Because they're like, a lot of people just like apply, and they haven't done any research. If they haven't researched us and we're not sticking out to them just for any reason at all, and there's just one more interview to do, like you should be doing at least 5-10 minutes worth of research on a job you're having an interview with. So that tells us how invested they are. What's your biggest reason for wanting a change? Why are you leaving your last insurance agency? Why are you getting into insurance? Or why did you have a 5-year gap between insurance? And for many times, it's a perfectly understandable reason. We're just trying to find out what's going on, see if we're uncovering any hidden things that don't want to tell us, because ultimately if they aren't transparent with us, and they come work for us for a few months, we find out things that they're not a good fit with us. It doesn't mean they're not a good fit somewhere else, but they're just wasting their own time and our time. Like, hey, this is not a good fit. There's something else out for you that's better, so you don't have to lie to get a job. There's this, we have a fit. And if you don't fit it, that's okay, but we don't want to waste each other's time. Some other things, if I got one more. What kind of, if you were an animal, what would you be and why? And let people describe, like it tells a lot about a personality. So hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. All right, perfect. And then once you have someone hired, I think it's very difficult to help people stick. I know you talked about it a little bit, right? But what's any advice like towards the onboarding and the support and the training? I'm sure some of the training is done and the support is given obviously internally, but is there anything that you recommend outside of that that has obviously helped you with the staff that you have, right? Because having 18 staff members, that's no easy task, right? So when it comes to support, onboarding, training, are there any resources or tools that you use that agents could benefit from?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. For training, well, we do RPOA every Tuesday. We have that they have a live show where we have everybody on. And then aside from that, we have a team lead who helps role play training 15 to 20 minutes a day. Half the team on Monday, the other half on Tuesday. The first half of the team again on Thursday, and the other half of the team on Friday. So they get it twice a week. We do, Cass helped me out here for training programs. We have a schedule for at least a week to 2 weeks, what we go over, going over our process. Zoom is a good program, Ideal Traits, RPOA for training. I can't think of anything else as far as resources.
Yes, it said CWC, so the Craig Wiggins coaching.
Yep.
Part of that as well.
Yep. CWC, RPOA, and then we do our own little internal role play. Like, hey, somebody says this, how do you say that? And you just go back and forth. Training's key. Oh, I did find the slide deck for what we're looking for. So for outside sales, highly persuasive and convincing. Looking for, let's see here. Cass just sent it to me. We're talking sales leader, salesperson, closer, persistent, competitor. That's for outside sales. For admin, perfectionist, knowledgeable, competitor below 60, researcher, and consistent. And then for inside sales, knowledgeable, organizer, nurturer, and competitor. So those are just ideal. It doesn't mean they couldn't. We have people switch different seats all the time. But it's a good idea that where they would start. Thanks, Cass.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, outstanding, cool. Well, Ben, as we come up on time here, obviously, we shared some really good things, and again, a very consistent trend that's building across the 3 agent webinars that we've done so far is that really a lot of the stuff that we've talked about that has led you to getting 18 staff and continuing to grow is not anything that anyone can't do tomorrow, right? Not to make it seem as if what you guys are doing is easy, right? Because I know it's not. I know it is difficult, right? Especially to stay consistent with it. But it is things that a lot of agencies can begin implementing and begin working at to be able to start getting better results when it comes to hiring, right? And thinking outside the box and doing new things. So I really appreciate the information you shared so far. And of course, as we end each of these webinars, I'll turn it to you to just share your one piece of advice that you recommend that every agent should be doing starting tomorrow when it comes to their hiring. It can be specific to Ideal Traits, or it can be just a best practice. Whatever you feel is something that really every agent should be doing on a daily basis when it comes to their recruiting. I'll turn it over to you to share that now.
Absolutely. In the words of the philosopher Taylor Swift, I'm the problem, it's me. I think agents should look internally at how they can improve themselves to their business, as opposed to trying to pull the workforce into their ideology, their thought process, and how things should be. Because the old way is out, the new way is in, and the people want positive culture. They want transparency, and they deserve that. And so, there was a time when I was very overly disciplined and not really transparent. And so when I made the switch and started working on it, it attracted those types of people, and they can see that. So it's change, but if you truly want to grow, you want to have a great place to work and transparent about it, you have to look internally. And it hurts sometimes, but it's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for your business. And the more transparent you are, and the more you can ask for help from your team, the better. So many of our great ideas came from Cass or our team leads or managers. Like, don't be afraid to ask everyone else in your office for advice, because it takes a load off, and most of the time they have better ideas than you do. So look internally and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah. Really good. And I think that will force a lot of people to get uncomfortable, right? Or, to force them to be a little uncomfortable, which will in the end be very good for them. So awesome. Well, Ben, I really appreciate the time. For everyone that's listening here to the live, you'll be redirected to the idealtraits.com/blueprint. Check out that website for us this year. As a part of your Blueprint promotion, you are receiving the video interviewing that Ben mentioned, as well as the texting feature to allow you to facilitate candidate communication easier. That'll be included. And I'm sure we'll be in touch with your office here soon to further discuss that. But if you'd like to just make it easy, feel free to send your receipt to marketing@idealtraits.com, and we'll get you added to the list to be included in those promotional features. But outside of that, in the chat, I did put the link to register for Jeremy Olson and Kristen Isaacson's Session for Success Spotlight this Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't registered yet, make sure you do so because there's only 25 spots left out of 250. So already 225 people registered. But other than that, Ben, again, thank you so much. I can't say it enough. I think that a lot of the things that you mentioned today, if not everything, can begin being implemented within an agency today. So if folks are struggling to get applicants or get results from the assessment or get candidates to show up for interviews, you can start implementing a lot of the things that Ben mentioned today. So Ben, I appreciate it a ton. I'll be in touch with you soon. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you.